Really what we do is, like what Richard mentioned, attorneys have been structuring or deferring their fees since 1980. It was the first one. And in 1994 was the Child's case, which is for the first time, even though attorneys have been deferring their fees for 14, 15 years, the Child's case came down and it was an official, the IRS challenged Child's, the attorney. They had structured their fees with annuities, and they lost. They appealed it, tried to go as far as they went, and just continually just got shot down by the slap down from the court. So really there's been tax law and case law since 1995 for attorneys to do this. Now, what we do is a little different. When you really look into the Child's case, the IRS didn't really care what the investment vehicle was. It just happened to be an annuity in that case. And because of that, that's what the last 15, 16 years, that's what 99.9% of all attorney structures have been. They've just been annuities. About 3 years ago, we kind of dug a little deeper into this thing, and we created this program that basically allows the attorneys to not just do annuities, but basically do anything that you want. We've partnered with Goldman Sachs, Credit Suisse, RBC. They're the money managers. So bring us, when we're brought in, we set up the whole system. The attorney then gets to choose whatever portfolio it is that they want to do. They can be as risky or conservative as they want to be. And the last 6 months, we've seen the whole spectrum on this too. So it really comes down to, all right, so I'm an attorney, I can defer my fees, but now I have choice. Absolutely, because you don't pay an example, a common one that we do is the attorney will defer it for 5 years and then have it pay out for 10. I'll use it $1 million fee as an example. And you don't defer your fees. You have $600,000, give or take, after you've paid the taxes to go do whatever it is you want to with your investment guy. But when you do structure your fees, then you have that full $1 million to use that then defers for 5 years and then starts paying you out in year 6. That's just an example, but so you're leveraging that extra $400,000 in this example of the government's money to earn more money for you. Now, to Richard's point, you don't pay taxes on that money until you actually receive it. So we have attorneys that defer for the next 30, 40 years. They are evening out they're spreading out their tax liability, and in most cases, you actually pay a little more taxes, but that's because you made more money. So there's a lot of different options. You can set it up. We have guys doing short-term, 1 year, 2 year deferrals. We've, like I said, the guys deferring out for 40 years. We have law firms, not just individuals, but we have law firms setting up short-term deferrals for 2, 3, 5 years to even out their inflow of cash from cases and to cover overhead expenses. You could do anything that you see in the Wall Street Journal or on CNBC. You can do anything now. Anything that Goldman Sachs or Credit Suisse or RBC can do, you can now do. So we've done everything from just plain vanilla laddered bond portfolios to structured notes. I mean, it can be anything that the attorney really wants to do. Yeah, this new program, the way that we've set it up, it works exactly like how they've done for the last 30 years. It has to be, you can't have constructive receipt of the money. So, most of the fees that we end up deferring come out of 468B qualified settlement funds, which leads to, we're doing some really exciting things and creative ways of using those 468Bs now, where let's say, we fast forward a little while for this litigation, I'm sure there will be a master 468B where all the money will go into that then gets dispersed to all of you guys. What we're starting to do now is setting up what's kind of just call them a secondary 468B, where each individual law firm can have their own qualified settlement fund. So the money comes from, the case settles, it's in the master, it can then go to yours. It gives you a little more privacy and a little more options. It makes things a little easier to do, whether you end up, the attorney ends up deferring his fees or their clients end up structuring their settlements. So there's a lot of creative ways to use all this stuff. There's no specific guidelines on that, but what would happen is, let's say it comes in February. You have at the least till the end of the year. You'd want the money you don't want the money going, staying in there for too long. Now we have 468Bs, and I know of some that have been ongoing for almost 10 years. But if you lined up 5 CPAs on this side and you had 5 on this side, you'd have 10 different answers of how long it can go. If the case settles, it goes into your 468B in November. There's a reasonable, it's very reasonable for that to go to the next year. So there's not an exact answer on that, but it's kind of a timing issue.
All right, thank you very much.
Great. Thanks.